All right. I don't know where you guys find all this information you guys find, but thank you to those of you that keep sending me these articles. I appreciate you guys. And of course, I'm going to cover them and bring them to all of you on the channel. So make sure if you're not subscribed to the channel, you subscribe down below, because everything that happens in the chess world from here out, we are going to be covering every single one of them, from Kramnik to all the drama with FIDe, and we are going to be looking at some incredible games as well. So if you're new to the channel, if you've not subscribed to this channel, make sure you click that subscribe button and give this video a like, so that they are going to push it out there to a lot more people that will need to see it, of course. This article was published, I think this is a Russian newspaper. It was published in Russian, so of course some of you, I don't know if you understand Russian and English, but some of you found it and some of you sent it to me. So I'm going to look at it in English, and all I need to do is do backup and it changes to English. Technology. Okay, anyways, Vladimir Kramnik is pissed. And what does he say? Vladimir says, I am disappointed with FIDe's actions and I intend to file a lawsuit against the organization. Kramnik. Okay, let's see. Grandmaster Vladimir Kramnik told Match TV that he intends to file a lawsuit against the International Chess Federation following the death of African-American Grandmaster commentator and streamer Daniel Naroditsky, whom he repeatedly suspected of cheating. Kramnik stated that he had tried to warn the public about the chess player's serious problems. FIDe Director General Emil Sutovsky called Kramnik's comments regarding Naroditsky's death shameful, which they were. Wow, maybe not. For his part, FIDe President Arkady Dvokovich stated that the organization's ethics committee would review the 14th World Champions statement. The head of FIDe stated that he doesn't support your statements and that the organization's ethics committee will review them. How do you respond to this? I'm guessing this is what the reporter asked Kramnik. And Kramnik says, first, I'll say that Naroditsky's death is a great tragedy and a shock, including for me. We don't know the circumstances of Daniel's death. I believe the Federation should investigate all the circumstances surrounding his passing. Arkady Dvokovich doesn't support my statements after Naroditsky's death. Sutovsky says the same, but I don't understand what he's talking about. I never said anything bad about him, and I demand that FIDe back up these accusations of my unseemly words after his death with an actual quote. Otherwise, this could become the subject of legal proceedings. It is a well-known fact that after my story with Daniel Naroditsky, for reasons unknown but in no way related to me, he was no longer used as a commentator on both chess.com and another major website. Furthermore, in July, he was publicly disqualified from the chess.com platform, which he also took extremely hard. So, Kramnik is doubling down on everything he has said so far. As we know from his public statements, judging by his streams, which were completely deleted from his channel the day before his death, Daniel was very upset by these recent events. Daniel already commented, okay, you know what? I'm going to actually do a coverage of that. I'm going to find that interview, this particular place where Dina asked him about this, and he actually clarified all of these things.
You're talking about commentary, and obviously, like, you're probably not going to be commentating a PogChamps anytime soon, but also you announced recently that you're taking a step back from commentating for chess.com.
Wait, I did it? Just kidding. Yeah.
So, do you want to elaborate a little bit on like why you decided on that and
what happened after a month later?
Yeah, the chess.com commentary announcement happened after I left Weisenhouse, beautiful Weisenhouse, early. I did a stream where I briefly talked about some of the reasons that I left early. It was an amicable departure. It was not a fly-by-night 2 a.m. escape.
The Irish escape.
The Irish escape, exactly. So, I know it's very weird to people that I talked it out with the organization. They treated me very well. They were understanding, and I tip my hat to them for engaging with me in a very mature, professional fashion. So there were no hard feelings remaining. Because the announcement coincided with that, people assumed that something happened that I wasn't talking about, and it traumatized me so much that I quit commentary permanently. No, okay? It wasn't totally unrelated. I guess I should share my thoughts on freestyle to explain what I just said. But mostly this was a buildup of things that I had experienced in my last year or so commentary. And the biggest one has nothing to do with chess.com, who by and large treated me incredibly well. And I'll talk about Danny specifically, but there was no big smoking gun. Okay, if people are expecting that, then they can close out the video, because there was no one fight that I had or something that happened, I promise. There were smaller things, and the biggest one was just like my health. I feel like, okay, I don't want to seem like I'm constantly bitching and whining. I feel like I'm getting to that mindset. But I talked about this with Robert. When you commentate for 8 hours, like a basketball game takes 3 hours. Commentating for 8 hours straight, it is not natural. Like, I think that we do it well, so people just assume that this is fine. Like, this is, like, you get into the habit of doing it. But I don't know if people fully understand, like, being on camera for 8 straight hours, talking the entire time without so much as a single, like, moment of losing your train of thought or just, like, needing to fucking nap on the floor, which I did plenty of times. The commentary schedule had been brutal, and I'm getting older. I'm not old, but I'm not 21 anymore.
Daniel was very upset by these recent events. He had various conflicts and reasons to worry quite recently. But what does this have to do with me? And now the people who actually run the chess world, I guess the chess mafia, and made these decisions have launched a shameful campaign of harassment against me and my loved ones. Now he's beginning to feel what it's like being on the receiving end of all of this. FIDe making such statements is unacceptable from both a moral and legal standpoint. In my view, this reveals the full extent of the corruption in the modern chess world. All professionals know that one American organization essentially wields decisive influence in the chess world. Is FIDe American? I thought some people told me FIDe was Russian. I don't know. And this is what led to the situation exploding to such an extreme level, resulting in an utterly tragic loss of life. Okay, so Kramnik is now putting the blame on FIDe or whatever organization, I guess maybe chess.com. But okay, something needs to be done about this, not just supporting baseless and immoral accusations against me. We still don't know what happened to Naroditsky or the cause of his death, and now FIDe is launching such a campaign against me instead of considering my earlier arguments. It is insulting and unfair because they are not interested in what happened to Daniel despite the highly questionable circumstances of his sudden death. But instead of attempting to understand what happened within a day or two, FIDe, with such statements, is essentially supporting yet another orchestrated smear campaign against me. And the very speed with which this is being carried out and how absurd it is speaks volumes about the current state of the chess world and who really controls it. I would like to hear what exactly I'm being accused of, what I said wrong, and then I would like to show that many people in the chess world are making horrific statements that violate the criminal code, and for some reason, FIDe isn't responding. All the materials I have, based on which I have expressed doubts about the honesty of certain players, have always been seriously substantiated. By who? I don't know. And I have always been and still am ready to provide all the information on this topic. But for some reason, both FIDe and chess.com are afraid to consider my careful reasoned arguments. In all the time I have been publicly speaking about online cheating, they have never once approached me for information. On the contrary, during the last Olympiad in Budapest, I myself asked for information to be provided to FIDe, but my request was ignored. I am extremely disappointed with these actions by FIDe, as well as with their inaction regarding the legal and moral statements made against me by some members of the chess community. And I intend to file a lawsuit against this organization. Kramnik told Match TV. Naroditsky represented the US team at the 2015 World Team Championship and won the 2025 US Blitz Championship. He's the author of several books on chess. Naroditsky's parents are from the Soviet Union. So at the end of the day, I don't know, when he talks about American organization, it's like, I think that's chess.com, not even FIDe. But FIDe is who he's going to be suing for going after him. And one more thing, I think Kramnik is also trying to suggest that Hikaru Nakamura contributed to the bullying of Daniel Naroditsky that ultimately led to his death. That is another thing Kramnik is talking about, and we are going to see what he has to say about that. He has published his evidence in that regard. Let's turn to that. Okay, so right here on X, if you can see this, yep, Kramnik decided to share this post, right? I think this is probably not the first one. Let's see the first one. Let me see if I have the first one here. You guys keep sending me this, and there are so many things I have received from people. People are telling me to consider this, look at this, look at this, look at this. It's a lot. So, but we are going to look at all of them. I'm going to cover all of these things. And you guys are going to let me know what you think about this whole situation in the comment section. Okay, I think this was the beginning part. I don't think this was the first one. Where was the first one? Maybe this was actually the beginning part. Okay, I think this was the first one. I think we have to be unequivocal in identifying people who just want to hate and join the pitchfork mob. Oh gosh, what is that? Let me see if I find which is actually 3:33 a.m. October 22nd and 3:27. So this is the first one. Okay, so these are a series of posts by Kramnik, according to him, based on things that Daniel Naroditsky himself had said in, I guess, a recent or previous correspondence they've had. Hikaru has a reputation of holding a double standard during matches. No shit. But it's not just a passing saltiness or anger when someone flags him. It's a completely unreasonable situation where anything other than him adopting you and gaining 50 points and then leaving, God forbid you say anything if he leaves a match whenever he wants to, which again I am fine with, results in a barrage of insults. So if you leave, it results in a barrage of insults and personal attacks, which yes, he's also done on stream, but mainly in private correspondence. Very sadly, this is an experience shared by most top GMs who play him regularly on stream. Yes, sometimes he just gets salty and people make way too much a big deal. A deal. I guess people make it a big deal when he gets salty. People need to understand that being this good leads to extreme competitiveness. So Daniel, I guess, is somehow excusing Hikaru's said saltiness. And yes, some people are extremely unreasonable, expecting him to just be chill and accept everything. We are all on board with that, but the personal attacks are really nasty. And in my case, he's done them several times on stream. A few instances, statements like, he plays stupid garbage that only works in blitz. Let's beat this idiot. Bad faith and nasty accusations of me playing for a draw to gain rating. You guys know I hate draws more than the devil. And then, of course, outbursts over crazy shit. A few months ago, we were playing a bullet match. He was streaming and I wasn't. I was home in San Francisco and remodelers were walking. And remodelers were walking downstairs and had to unplug the router for 3 minutes. I warned him 10 minutes before, then 5 minutes before, and came back precisely 3 minutes later. Yet he went off for the entirety of the time, saying nasty and clearly untrue that shit. Things like propagating the rumor I broke my hand, laughing mitefully at me, raging, which is okay, but in reasonable quantities. I mean, okay, not every time I do it. And I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of this. It's not just with me. This often results in him blocking me or other GMs, both in correspondence and on chess.com, usually temporarily. This pattern of deeply hurtful personal behavior, bad faith outbursts on stream, etc., that turn some of his fans against his opponents for no good reason, and of course, double standard with respect to flagging, which you guys all know. It is by now so nakedly obvious and so unreasonable that we all GMs, have thrown up their hands. I wish he knew how hard I've tried to control his reactions. I've gone so far as to play him from my phone while driving. Lama. Warn him assiduously when I might need to pee, because yes, he gets pissed at that too, no pun intended. And I've apologized again and again, both for things I agree were out of line and also for things that either Chess Bay demanded I apologize for, or I knew there would be no playing him if I did. Who is Chess Bay? I'm not sure who that is. If you know who Chess Bay is, put it down in the comments. Give us some context. Meanwhile, as you guys point out, not one apology, not one admission of wrongdoing, not a single message along the lines of, hey, Daniel, I'm sorry I said this to you. I was out of line. That's all I would have asked, and I would have forgiven every outburst. And trust me, folks, I would never review personal correspondence with anyone, but some of the, as he says, I really hate saying this, but I would not have accepted such language from any other person in the entire world. But he's Hikaru Nakamura. I don't believe he's a bad person, and everyone wants to and is honored to play chess with him. So that's what Eric Hansen has an issue with. Eric has his own stories. Everyone has their stories, interactions, and they're all similar. Let me now discuss the macro side in terms of his influence and the impact it has on career. 2 final thoughts on personal interactions before we consider the career side. I've done my best to act with understanding throughout all this. I've spoken to him and continue to speak to him with courtesy when close to a relative who is not doing well. That is not easy. It is not easy to live in the public eye and have to deal with that. Sadly, I've had first-hand experience with that, and I've used to try to, and I used to try to offer my emotional support for him when possible. I guess, I don't know what's that. And for Chess Bay, you guys, can you help me make sense of this statement? That is not easy. It is not easy to live in the public eye and have to deal with that. Sadly, I've had first-hand experience with that, which I've used to try to offer my emotional support for him when possible. And for Chess Bay, I guess he's talking about Hikaru, right? Maybe. And whoever Chess Bay is, I'm going to have to find out. Hikaru is the biggest figure in online chess by a country mile. He has a lot of leverage and influence over how things on chess.com are run. I don't begrudge him, and I think that it's natural. Okay, I've gotten it. Don't show me this. Now they've taken it out of the radar. Where is it? Okay. I really don't want them showing me this. It's blocking the way. Okay, I don't begrudge him and think that it's natural, but the fear that I have is that as the face of online chess, I guess. Okay, can you not show me this anymore? How do I take this out now? I don't want this stuff. I want to get rid of this. Okay. I get it. Okay, there you go. He carries the biggest figure in online chess by country mile. He has a lot of leverage and influence over how things on chess.com are run. But many of the time when you watch Hikaru stream, Hikaru doesn't have an idea of what decisions chess.com is making. Now, I don't know. That's going to be left for you guys to judge. But according to this, at least, he has a lot of leverage and influence over how things on chess.com are run. I don't begrudge him and I think it's natural, but the fear I have is that since he's the face of online chess and chess.com must essentially accede to his every request, feed his every whimsy and smooth over his every outburst. And all of this against the constant peddling of grow the game and hunt for imaginary elitists. The XQC and Ben Feingold stuff. Do you know what XQC and Ben Feingold stuff is all about? You guys can also let me know. Share in the comments so that other people have context. And not to bring back chapter 1, but as I've said time and time again, Ben suffered enough for what he said. Whatever you may think of him, you can think he's the biggest asshole ever. He isn't, but that's beside the point. He suffered enough, so did Eric. And I feel strongly that Bay and Hikaru did not stick up to their professed principles, rather fueling the flames and the misperceptions that kept particularly Ben down for a very long time. So apparently something happened between Ben Feingold and XQC. Maybe I'll be able to find that. If I find it, I'm going to make it something to give you guys context for all of this. First of all, I need to figure out who Chess Bay is. I need to know who Ben Feingold is. I know who Ben Feingold is, but I don't know that. I didn't know there was drama between XQC and Ben Feingold. You guys keep sending me all of these things. You need to help me get context as well. I think we have to be unequivocal in identifying people who just want to hate and join the pitchfork mob, but we also can't turn a blind eye constantly and without fail. Accountability has become the only option. I just don't want to operate with this background fear, and I truly think that forgiveness will prevail, and Hikaru himself will perhaps be relieved if people are no longer out of touch with the reality. Holding up the constant lies, the cover-ups, it has to be exhausting. In all of this, I haven't mentioned Chess Bay much. Frankly, I am not too interested in assigning percentage-based blame. It doesn't really effing matter, but I refuse to view them as one unit. They are both adults, Hikaru included, I guess Hikaru and Chess Bay. We all want to love, I guess Chess Bay is Magnus. I'm not sure. We all want to love him, but it's like he's put me into a position where I can win a queen and expects me to blunder one instead. That's smart. Please, if you post any of this stuff elsewhere, which is fine with me, do so in good faith. Don't paste straight out of my context. And if I find that you did, I'll rectify the record and kick you out of your Discord. I ask that we act in a spirit of forgiveness, being firm in demanding accountability, but also calling out people who are just hateful for no reason. So that was the post. Then it continues here. Question. Somebody asked, if he acts like he's the center of the universe and people treat him as such, how can he ever think he's not? Even now, to some degree, don't you think bringing up the fact that he has a rough go of things over the last couple of years is in a way perpetuating this idea that everything revolves around him? Everyone has a shitty point in life. Some people even have shitty lives, period. But we still hold people accountable for their actions, no? And Daniel says, I mean, there's a fine line. I get what you're saying, yes. He has been brought up to think he's the center of the universe. No other way around it. That is obviously what he thinks. Selfishly, I just hope he reads this interaction. I think if he's confronted in this very direct way, perhaps he can ultimately see the light. It might not happen all at once. What needs to be made clear is, asshole Hikaru is okay. Salty Hikaru is okay. Flagging Hikaru is okay. As long as, and Eric said it best, he doesn't hide it. He's just out with it and attempts to curb the toxic part of it. Question: is this a sentiment shared by multiple streamers and you are acting as a voice for multiple, or is this an individual opinion? And Daniel said, I hate speaking on behalf of others who could add their takes, but in this particular case, the answer is yes, unfortunately. Okay, so this is a conversation, a correspondence that happened somewhere, I'm not even sure where, but Kramnik posted this and said this is informational document, open source, written by Danya. Right? I don't know. I guess it suggests that. Is it suggesting that maybe Hikaru was also part of those bullying Danya? Is it a deflection tactics? Right? Because it seems that as everybody has piled up on Kramnik and people are saying Kramnik did this and Kramnik did this, he's a bully. Kramnik is trying to say, hey, look, I'm not, you guys think I'm the one bullying Danya, but look, Hikaru is actually the bigger bully here. It seems to be what Kramnik is trying to say. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think that Danya, at least, and the other thing to consider, so just to give you guys something to hold in mind while you process this, is when did this take place? When did this conversation happen? There's no way for us to know that, right? When did this conversation happen? Is it years ago? Maybe if we click on the actual Google Docs, we are going to be able to find this. This is in 2021. Good. So this is in 2021. Wait a second. This is a whole conversation. Okay, you guys, I'm going to copy this link. I'm going to leave it in the description so that you guys can actually go read it for yourself as well. Now, did Danya still hold these opinions up till this day in 2025? Because I know a lot of people used to say a lot of things about Hikaru in the past. Is this sentiment still widely held up till this date? Let me know what you think in the comments. Vladimir is going to be suing FIDe. Do you think he's actually going to sue them? What do you think FIDe is going to do to Vladimir Kramnik? Do you think they're going to strip him of his GM titles? Do you think they should strip him of his GM title? What are your opinions on this matter? Continue to send me this information. I will make sure to cover them and leave your comments below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.